MSNBC and CNN are floundering following a post-election slump. The two liberal-leaning networks saw a downturn after Donald Trump's 2016 victory, but this time their views have plummeted even deeper. According to Nielsen, MSNBC's viewership was down by more than half, with an average of 603,000 primetime viewers from the day after the election through December 8th. CNN was down 46%, with 401,000 viewers on average. Meanwhile, the viewers appear to be flocking to Fox News, which was up 12%, averaging about 2.7 million viewers.
How the hell did Donald Trump figure out that the mainstream media is the fringe and the fringe is now the mainstream? How the hell did Donald Trump figure out? I mean, Joe Rogan is obvious, right? Like, we knew the guy had a big audience. It's not like we were like stunned, but like, how the hell was he, the 78-year-old guy who doesn't even have a computer and still like writes handwritten notes, how did he become the guy who cracked the code on, to your point, running a cultural, I don't even want to say campaign, running
it was a movement. Look,
heading a cultural movement versus a campaign.
Every one of your people knows Elon. Listen. Yeah. So everybody keeps, the problem is you have a framework in your mind that, how can Donald Trump? Guys, can we cut it out? Donald Trump is not an idiot. Donald Trump, let me just be very clear. Donald Trump is smarter than me, you, and all critics. You know why we know? Because he has the White House, the Senate, the House.
Totally agree.
Court, the popular vote. He has a massive media ecosystem bigger than the mainstream built around him and for him, and a religious fervor in a political movement around him. And his best buddy is the richest person in the history of the world, and the most relevant Kennedy is with him. This dude is a phenomenon. He is the most powerful human on earth and in our lifetime. And we're still saying, well, how was this guy? We look like idiots to ordinary.
You're totally right.
Well, in my personal opinion, I think it took the ABC settlement of 15 million for these guys to realize that Donald Trump is smarter than them. They don't want lawsuit. Now their eyes is clear. Oh yeah, this guy is a smart guy. Trump, wow, he's the most intelligent guy in the whole world. More than Einstein. Yeah, because he just sued ABC and they've paid a heavy price. George Stephanopoulos, he paid 1 million from his own pocket. And now these guys, they realize, yeah, the chicken is coming home to roost. So we better say this guy is smart. Let's give him his accolade. Remember the thing that if anyone praise Trump, Trump goes easy on them. And that's the mantra in which they're freely like, oh, let's just follow that line. But we all know from out of America that Trump has always been smart. He's been courageous. I mean, there's never been any person as courageous as Trump ever since I grew up or come to my senses to know how things work. They've thrown everything at this guy. He is still standing. There's no one, Republican, Democrat, who would have withstand what Trump has really gone through. Because we all know most of them in Washington, this is my opinion, they're on blackmail. As soon as they say you're either with us or, we'll release this thing you did 10 years ago, 20 years ago. They just kowtow and just fall in line. Everybody in Washington is on some kind of a blackmail. That's how they govern each other. We all know that. Anyway, Van Jones now realized that Trump is the most, is smarter than him for sure. And most of the media is really telling. But I personally, I know it is due to the lawsuits coming.
Donald Trump ran for president for one reason and one reason only, to make all of his legal problems, poof, go away. And for the most part, he was successful, with one exception. Yesterday, the New York judge who presided over Trump's hush money trial denied his bid to toss out his guilty verdict, meaning Trump will have to live with the infamy of being the first convicted felon president. But that isn't stopping Trump from trying to hit the delete button on every other bad headline ever printed about him, going so far as to sue Iowa pollster Ann Seltzer and the Des Moines Register, saying he's seeking accountability for brazen election interference over a November poll that showed Kamala Harris up 3% in Iowa. Never mind the fact that Trump won the election and won the state of Iowa by double digits. He's clearly feeling emboldened by ABC News, agreeing to pay a $15 million settlement in a defamation lawsuit. Nearly every legal expert said that they would have won. And as others in the media show, they are increasingly willing to comply in advance, like the owner of the LA Times, Patrick Soon-Shiong, who Oliver Darcy is reporting requested that the newspaper's editorial board outright take a break from writing about Trump and balance any critical editorials or articles with positive ones.
Well, I call her my sister, Joy Reid. She never fails to disappoint, right? Spinning every positive Trump outcome to really fit her narrative. The judges denies Trump's bid to throw out guilty verdict. And somehow she's sneakily happy with that. But we all know those charges are trumped up and they'll definitely be thrown out. There's nothing she can do about it. Everyone is falling in line. Maybe Joy Reid will be the last in the room to actually figure that out. But we all know where she stands, and America is done with that. They are done. Okay, no more. I don't think she's relevant anymore, in my personal opinion. No matter what she says, the viewership will just keep going down. And sometime, say, end of this 2025, I think Joy Reid, maybe the show will be called off because the viewership is down like dramatically. I don't know. Did everyone turn to MAGA? Or everyone is just burned out with all the constant routine, round the table, lies coming on air all the time in the mainstream media? I think so. Going to podcast and having a civil conversation with normal human beings who don't have talking points, I think that's the way forward. And the earlier these ladies or MSNBC, they view all of them in the left-wing media, the earlier they realize that authenticity is the way forward, the better for them.
Yeah, and there's sort of a game people play of mocking Canada. Well, now Canada has been mocked by its own prime minister. Justin Trudeau went down to Mar-a-Lago as if Trump is already president. He's not president yet. He didn't go running to the White House of the real current president. He went to him as if he could just become a supplicant. And now Chrystia Freeland, who is his finance minister, she's out of there because she's like, we need to come up with a strategy to deal with Trump's tariff plan. That is not a strategy, and it is humiliating. And if I were a Canadian, I'd be absolutely disgusted. It's interesting that it's said that there's a crisis of manhood, right? That is being said a lot on the right. There is a crisis of manhood, but it's on your own side, guys.
At one point, he had his eyes closed for over a minute, resting his head in his hands, with onlookers claiming he looked tired and spoke hoarsely.
So this is the guy Joy Reid wants world leaders to have a meeting with, Joe Biden. The old man is tired and they don't want to let him rest. They're just pushing the narrative. At this point, I think it's elderly abuse. Joy Reid wants Joe Biden to rule until he is 100. We all know Joe Biden, according to reports, that he cannot string two sentences together and he can barely really withstand a meeting of 10, 15 minutes. He's old and tired. Let's just accept that. But Joy Reid, come on. Just stop it, okay? At this point, it's too much. At this point, if there was a way, I would think that Joe Biden would just resign and just hand over Trump the presidency. I know it will be Kamala Harris. That's why he does not want to do it. If you don't know, Jill and Kamala, they are having a beef, and Jill does not like Kamala. So there's no way she's taking her husband out for Kamala to be president for a single day. There is no way. And I do believe that Jill actually voted Republican because she wore red that day, in my personal opinion. So for Joy Reid to say, oh, Joe Biden now is looking like, oh, he's left the White House and Trump is looking like the president when he's not yet. Yeah, you figure it out. Common sense. Who would you rather go to now, Joe Biden or Trump, to secure your country's future?
Ask you sort of a chicken and egg question. Is it President-elect Trump and his potential tariff threats that's causing this, or is that merely stoking a fire that was already lit? In essence,
it's sort of ancillary to it because this was actually an opportunity for Justin Trudeau to get a bump in the polls because a lot of Canadians perceive Donald Trump as being difficult to predict. And therefore, when things go wrong, it gets sort of assigned to the, oh, well, it's Donald Trump category rather than why isn't our prime minister handling it correctly. So a lot of Liberals were anticipating that Trudeau could benefit from this. And that has not been the case. Instead, Donald Trump has belittled Justin Trudeau at a time when he is highly unpopular with Canadians. And this has been the case for about a year for Justin Trudeau. And I think sometimes people outside Canada don't realize his popularity here has been slipping and stuck in very low numbers. He's made a lot of unpopular policy decisions. And that's why there's sort of, this is, the question on, is this the nail?
Of course, it is a nail on his coffin. People in America, they have rejected the wokeness and the left-wing agendas. So is Canada. So is in Africa, Eastern Europe, everywhere. Everyone has rejected this wokeness. People don't want men in girls' bathroom or in men in female sports. It's common sense. It's human nature. Everybody has rejected it. So as soon as there is election in every country, every president that has been woke, they are definitely facing reality right now. That people are smarter than what they think they are. Okay? These elites usually think that, oh, just dictate to them what they should believe. No, not anymore. People have consumed so much information to make decisions for themselves. If the votes aren't rigged, I think more than 80% of people will reject this wokeness. Okay? So that's it. It's the nail on his coffin. Trump humiliated him. So, I mean, I think it's an understatement. Trump would have done more. Why are you making your country suffer? Why are you making Canada suffer? Simple question. Why don't you want the pipelines? Will make America energy independent and Canada will benefit from that. Anyway, let's just leave it at that. Canada's Prime Minister faces calls to resign. He does not have the guts. Thanks for tuning in to the Black Coffee Podcast, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.